Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to this episode of Business Innovators Radio. This is guest host Donna Gunter. Today we have with us John Bowen. John is a real estate broker with 18 years experience. He has a small team and serves people who want to sell their homes and people who want to buy homes. Back in 1999, he purchased a home and had a negative experience. He began to research the home buying process and realized that a lot of information had not been explained very well, which hindered his ability to make a well-informed choice. With this in mind, he set out to help people first and foremost, knowing that they have accomplished this primary goal. The successful, profitable business would soon follow. John holds an ASR, Accredited Sellers Representative certification, indicating he's taken extra education classes on selling and pricing homes and how to market them effectively. He is committed to education in his business model. The real estate industry changes rapidly, and because of that, he attends at least 16 hours of training each year in order to keep abreast of the changing marketplace. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, John, tell us a little bit about John Bowen Properties and how you're helping your clients.
We always try to take the approach here with myself and our team that your home is your most valuable asset. It's your sanctuary. It's the place where you and your family memories are made. And your pleasurable home purchase, the culmination of your goals and dreams made possible by our team. So we always try to keep in mind that when you're purchasing a house, that it's going to be your home. It has to work for you. You have to feel comfortable there, and it makes you happy when you come home. We always try to put our clients first. Their needs always come first before ours. We just try to make it a very pleasant experience, and we also really, really want to make sure that when people sign contracts, have inspections, and whatever other kind of paperwork and things come with their transaction, that they understand 100% what they're getting into, what they're signing, so that way when they finish the process, they feel like they had a pleasant experience and that they're very well informed. So we kind of teach our clients at the same time as help them.
Well, John, what was it about your first home buying experience? What exactly went wrong in that you vowed to make up, and learn more about it so that other clients of yours and customers of yours wouldn't have that same experience?
Well, my very first home buying experience, I bought a home directly from a builder. I went into a neighborhood one day. I saw these houses they were building. I liked one that was open. And so I decided, I'm going to buy this house. So I went in and talked to the agent that represented the seller at the model home. But I didn't realize at that point that even though she represented the seller, and I'm pretty sure maybe she explained it to me, but when you're a first-time home buyer, there's a lot of little nuances to buying a house that you don't realize. For some reason, maybe in my mind, I thought she was my agent and kind of looking out for me and helping me along. And it wasn't a bad transaction or a bad experience. I just realized as the years went on, a few years after that, before I got my own real estate license, that there were a couple of things that she could have explained a little bit better or that I wasn't made aware of, which wasn't her position to make me aware of, that maybe I spent a little bit more money than maybe I should have spent on a couple of items. I could have changed a few things around here and there. And I didn't really understand the contracts that I was signing. That was the main thing. I just didn't understand all the legal jargon and the contracts that I was signing. So I've always vowed to make sure that when people work with me, they understand what those contracts mean and what they're signing.
Yeah, that can be a big bugaboo for some people and getting themselves into something they're not sure or that they didn't understand that they were getting themselves into. Well, in this experience, obviously, you had this revelation that at some point buying a home was probably going to be advantageous over renting. Talk about some of the benefits and advantages of buying over renting for a first-time home buyer.
Here where I'm at in Greenville, South Carolina, the first-time home buyers market it's a low inventory market. So if, a house comes on the market, you might be one of 5 or 6 people that wants to make an offer on it. So the pricing on those homes, not inflated, but it stays, the seller pretty much gets what they're asking for. Still one of the few markets in America, though, where your mortgage payment either equals rent or it's a little bit less than rent. So I always like to tell people, think of it as rent control. Your principal and interest payment are going to stay the same every month. The only time your actual mortgage payment might go up is when you have taxes. If you have escrows for your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes, your insurance and taxes can go up from year to year. But for the most part, your principal and interest is protected. and it's sort of like a rent control. So over the years, it allows you to build a nest egg and help you towards retirement and wealth on that.
Well, I know when somebody starts looking for a home, they may be filled with some myths and misconceptions about what buying a home is all about. What are some of those that you've had to deal with your customer base?
Yeah, there are a lot of myths, and there's also a lot of misconceptions out there. Sometimes people will call me about a house, and they've seen it online on one of the online portals, and there'll be an estimate of what that particular online portal thinks the value of a home is, and it could be significantly off from what it's priced, and they don't realize those online companies use algorithms, and they don't really see the inside of the house or know the nuances of it. So those prices are never really that correct. Another misunderstanding is that, a lot of first-time homebuyers don't realize where they stand at on a mortgage perspective. They don't know what their credit score is. They don't know what they need to be doing in order to get themselves ready to buy a mortgage. So I always tell everybody they should get a recommendation for a really good mortgage broker and start working on that aspect. And then a lot of buyers, first-time home buyers, think you need a 20% down payment to buy a house. But that's not true. There are different programs out there. There are some 100% financing where you don't have to put any money down. The most common, though, there's the 3%, 3.5%, maybe 5% is all you need down to get into a home. And I think that a lot of buyers don't realize that. So, one of the misconceptions is they probably should get with a real estate agent or a mortgage broker and kind of just have a meeting and talk with those people. Those are non-committal meetings. You don't have to sign up with anybody. You don't have to become someone's client, and just kind of round robin with someone and see where you stand and what it's going to take for you to get in that first house.
Yeah, I know that probably one of the biggest mistakes that home buyers make is that they don't get pre-qualified before they go looking, and then they really have no idea if they should be looking for the $350,000 home or the $75,000 home.
And that is true. Yes, that is the first thing that I always tell someone when they call me, especially a first-time home buyer, and they're inquiring on what their first step is to buy a home. The first thing I tell them is you need to go and call a mortgage broker or meet with a mortgage broker and find out exactly where you stand at credit-wise. Tell them what you're comfortable paying in a payment, and then they'll match that payment to a price. Sometimes you're approved for way more house than what you actually want to pay for. So I work with different mortgage brokers, and they're very good at, coaching clients and helping them get, a payment that fits their budget so they don't get in trouble, or they're not house poor, as we say, once they get into a house. And then it is kind of disheartening for some people because they start looking on their own online, because everybody likes looking at houses. It's like a national pastime now, and they fall in love with the house. They get pre-approved for their mortgage, and they have to go with the house at $75,000 less. And that changes some of the features and the luxury items and things they get in a house. It's always good to know what you can buy before you start looking, so that way you can get the best house for your money.
That whole notion of getting pre-qualified and knowing how much they want to spend or can afford to spend is always valuable to know as you start this home buying process. Are there other common mistakes or pitfalls that first-time home buyers make as they start this journey?
There are a few. The mortgage broker, and I always coach my clients that once you start the home buying process, you have to keep your credit in line, and you have to keep it level of where it is. So you can't go out and buy a car, or people get excited and they'll go out and they'll buy like a house full of furniture, and they'll open a credit card at a furniture store without realizing that when they do that, it's going to make their credit, it could drop their credit score, or it could raise their debt to income ratio up to where they don't qualify for the loan, because a lot of buyers don't understand what debt to income ratio is. But, there's a certain part of your income that you're allowed for housing, and you can't have but so much percentage of your income for debts on that part. Those are like the two biggest. And then sometimes relatives will give you money. You can't make deposits into your account for money that's not accounted for, like some payroll and all that, while you're in the home buying process. So those are like probably the two most common things that first-time home buyers do. They just get excited and they just don't realize that's a deadly mistake. It can be fixed, but it takes a minute.
Well, John, I watch a lot of HGTV shows, the flip and flops, the house hunter kinds of shows, and what I see happening many times on these kind of shows is the home buyer comes in with this massive list of, I want my granite countertops and a butler's pantry and a pool and yada, yada, yada. And when they're asked how much they have to spend, they say, $100,000. And then, of course, the real estate agent or whoever's showing the home is about to fall over in laughter. But, of course, I can't do that on TV because he or she knows that, that whole list of wonderful features that this home buyer wants is not going to fall within the price that they can afford to pay. What has been your dealings with having to correct perceptions of what somebody can buy versus budget that they're on, and how to fix that, how to get that straightened out in the home buying process?
Yeah, that's a very common thing, and it probably happens almost with every buyer that you work with, no matter what price range they're in, because people do watch these shows. They look online at Pinterest and Howls. They're always looking for ideas, see these beautiful bathrooms and kitchens and things like that. I always tell people to give me a list of their wants and a list of their needs. We talk about what they want in a house. We talk about what they need, because the home buying process is a process of, there's always a little bit of a compromise. There's always compromise in life. But buying a home is a process of elimination. You find the house that you like, and then you just have to go through your list. And you just have to eliminate, take what this house has, and then figure out how it fits into your budget. And can you live with these items? Are you willing to give up some items? Can you go back in later after you buy the home and upgrade it yourself for some items like that? So I kind of just talk with people like that occasionally, but I normally, when I'm interviewing somebody, especially if we're doing it at the office or if we're at a coffee shop and I have my computer, I will pull up a house that they like and show them what the price would be, and then we just kind of start working backwards from there if need be.
Well, those are all great tips to give somebody to help them, I guess, avoid that whole disappointment trap that first-time home buyers often find themselves in, as they try to align their wants and needs with the budget that they're looking at, the budget that they have. I'm sure you probably have some pretty good stories of first-time home buying trials and triumphs. Would you mind sharing one of those where you've helped your clients overcome one of these obstacles or mistakes that we've talked about and succeed in buying their first home?
I just recently, last December, closed a house for a young couple. They're probably in their early 20s, and they have a 2-year-old. And they have been working with me for probably on and off for 3 years now. Were referred to me by family members. I've sold homes to the grandmother, the brother, uncles, aunts. I've worked with this family for a while. So when it's this couple's time to buy a house, they approached me or whatever. Well, they had new cars, different things like that, few little credit challenges. And so I kind of worked with them on and off over a couple years, helping them get their credit straight, getting their debt to income ratio down, and then just, looking at different houses and trying to help them afford a house that would really work for them. So finally, after about 3 years of that, we finally found what they deemed to be the perfect house, or, the house of their dreams. I was able to get them to close. So it was a rewarding process. I'm not one of those agents that's looking at everybody like, oh, you're just going to be like a 30-day transaction for me or whatever. I get involved with the people that I work for. I like to see their dreams come true. If it takes 30 days to buy a house, if it takes 6 months, a year, 2 years, just, work with people however long they need to find the house that they like. I always tell people, I don't have to live in this house. You do. So if you don't like the one we're looking at, just speak up and say you don't like it. Or if you do like it, then we'll work on trying to make it your home.
Well, that's a really great and inspiring story, John. I don't know if I've ever heard of a real estate agent hanging out with somebody for as long as 3 years to help them buy a home. That's a very unique quality, I think, that you bring to the business.
I'm like everyone else. I work for a living and I do need to make money, but I like what I do and I like helping people. I built my business when I first started out in 2001. Probably from 2001 to 2005, I worked primarily with first-time home buyers. So I built my business on the first-time home buyer model. I've always liked working with first-time home buyers. Sometimes it takes them a little bit of time to get their head in the game and figure out what it is they have to do. A lot of times, young first-time home buyers, they don't make the most money per week or per hour, so it takes a little time to get them going in the right direction. But those are the people that become clients for life, as we like to say on that part. I don't mind putting in the time to help people. I find it rewarding.
Well, John, what's the most important questions first-time home buyers should ask themselves as they consider buying their first home?
I think that what they really should ask themselves, are they ready for the responsibility of home ownership and home maintenance? Because, when you buy a home, if you've been renting, the landlord takes care of all the maintenance. The air conditioning breaks, they send someone out to fix it. You need a new roof, they patch the roof or replace the roof. So, once you buy a home, it's all yours. You're all in there. So I think that people really need to think about, are you ready for that responsibility to keep the home in top condition. So that way you build equity. So when you get ready to sell it, you can sell it for top dollar. It's a big commitment to own a home. And I think a lot of people should just kind of sit back and think about what all is involved in actually owning a home.
Yeah, my husband refers to our home as the money pit because we're always having to replace the roof, replace the garage door, update the air conditioning system, repaint it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, well, I'm no different from everyone else. I just purchased a new townhome last June. I was walking through the hall yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I need to get out the touch-up paint. I've scuffed the wall. In your day-to-day life, you get busy, and you let these little things slide here and there, and the next thing you know, you have a lengthy list of things to do. But it's very rewarding, I think, when you own a home and you maintain it, because it's yours. No one can tell you what to do with it. It's yours to decorate however you want. So I think just making sure that you're ready for that responsibility of the home maintenance and what all is involved in owning a home.
Absolutely. So that's a big chunk of your life that you can spend in updating and renovating a home. As people look at buying a home, I know there are buyer's agents and there are seller's agents. What should a first-time home buyer consider when looking for a real estate agent? Should they actually get a buyer's agent? Should they just go start looking at homes? How should that whole process start for them?
I find a lot of people now in the National Association of Realtors has a lot of stats on this. Probably about 95% of people now are already looking for a home online before they ever reach out to an agent. There's a lot of information out there. So what real estate agents are able to do for you is take all this information and these conflicting reports and things like that and kind of shed some light on all of that and help you get going in one direction. I think the most important thing you should do is you can certainly interview 2 or 3 agents to find someone that you have good rapport with. Some agents just work with listings. Some want to just work with buyers, but I want to say the majority of agents do both. They work with people who are selling homes, people who are buying homes. I think people are like, well, should I pick the number one agent in the county? Should I pick the person who sold the most houses in this neighborhood? The main thing I can tell you is you need to pick the person that you trust, that you think in your heart is going to take care of you and look out for your interest and put your interest above their own. That's the main thing, because years in the business doesn't necessarily translate when it comes to real estate, because some people can be in business for 5 years and only sell 5 houses a year. Other people can be in business for 3 years and sell 30 houses a year. So I think it's more of a transactional experience that you're looking for there, someone that's negotiated contracts, negotiated for repair requests to make sure that the home is in good condition when you buy it, helping you with the attorney's offices or title companies, as they do, I think, out in Texas, making sure that you get somebody that's going to be there with you every step of the way from the very beginning until the very end, and someone that's also going to be there for you after you close your home and you move in, that you can call on to ask questions or, to get help from on that. But I think trust is the main thing. If you're interviewing someone and you just don't feel like, you just don't have that warm, fuzzy feeling like they're really going to take care of you, that you can trust them, then that's probably not the agent for you.
Yeah, I agree. That whole sense of rapport, I think, plays an important role in terms of the real estate agent understanding what the home buyer wants and, frankly, being willing to spend the time with that home buyer to get all the questions answered, overcome all the objections, the fears, the misconceptions, et cetera. It's not one of those things where they just show up when they've got a house to sell. There may be a lot of in-between stuff that happens where you want to feel like you've got a good friend, you're a good friend with a real estate agent.
You have to make sure that the person is going to take really good care of you and look out for your best interest. Because when you sign the papers on the house on the very last day at the closing, it's yours. You can't give it back. You can't reverse that or whatever. Once you buy it, it's yours. So you need to take the steps to make sure that you get the proper inspections and people putting their eyes on the house to make sure the deed is good, the title work is good, and all that. You need someone there. Your real estate agent is your advisor. They translate these legal documents for you or help you understand what it is you're doing there and making sure that questions are asked that you may not think about.
Well, John, you've given us some really great tips and information today for first-time home buyers looking to buy that home of their dreams. How can somebody find out more about you and your company and how you can help?
I have a website, johnsellsgreenville.com, and I'm on all social media platforms. If you just Google John Sells Greenville, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, my website, all come up. But you can also find me, I'm just a phone call away at 864-275-4535. You can call me, you can text me. Also on my website, you can connect through there via email. I'm receptive to all that. So, and I'm always here for questions. I get people calling me all the time just asking me questions, so I don't have a problem with that at all.
Thanks, John, for being our guest today on Business Innovators Radio. I appreciate all of you listening to today's show. Take care, and we'll see you soon on our next episode.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.